Hey, Think Realty, thanks so much for joining us on the podcast today. It's my privilege to host the podcast. I'm Eddie Wilson, the founder of Think Realty. We've got a great guest for you today, but before we get to our guest, let me say a quick thank you to our podcast sponsor, which is Real Property Management. This episode is brought to you by Real Property Management. Working with the right property management company can put more money in your pocket, not less. Real Property Management provides a higher standard of property management to make sure you're maximizing the return on your investments. Experience the real difference with Real Property Management. Visit realpropertymgt.com. Our guest today is no, let's just say, it's not unusual to have you on because you've been on probably at least 4 or 5 episodes, I would think.
Yeah.
But it is Mark Burch with Templeview Capital, and so thanks so much for joining us again.
My pleasure.
Yeah, I guess we just have you back because you're so good.
Well, I love doing what I do.
Yeah, appreciate it. Mark has been on the podcast many times because he provides a lot of insight when it comes to capital, getting sources of capital, because most real estate investors, they focus heavy on the deal itself, but they don't always have the capital lined up. And so having a capital partner is very important. And so that's why we always invite Mark to come on to talk about how to use capital, how to properly use capital, how to source capital, how to get the capital relationships lined up. Also, and I want to jump into this a little bit later today, but I'd like to talk about private money brokering and kind of what that looks like. But if you don't mind, just give a quick overview of Templeview and yourself, and then we'll get into real estate.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in real estate since 2003. Residential mortgages back in the craze, went into default when the crash happened. And then I started flipping houses in 2016. Company I worked for at the time kind of transitioned into Templeview. So I was able to, really have access to capital. I really started analyzing deals for myself. We're doing a lot of retail stuff. We didn't open up our broker and table funding platforms until a little bit later. But what was good about it is I came from, doing it myself, right?
Sure.
So I can underwrite deals that I saw. I could give some knowledge to people that were new flippers, because everyone had their 14 and 4 Tony Soprano loan in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then they get better and better rates and terms over time and with experience. And I think that goes with how we at Templeview look at a borrower. We don't, credit is somewhat important, no lates and things like that, but we really underwrite for the experienced borrower. The more deals they do with us, the better terms they get, the more comfortable we get with them and how they know the process.
Sure.
It is a work in progress, but really we're always looking for the successful deal. And I always tell that to maybe people that are underwriting a deal for themselves. A good deal will always get funded. Your partner, your lending partner, whoever that is, will tell you this is a bad deal.
Sure.
And so that is important information to know, especially when you don't have the knowledge and the background to do it yourself. But from there, we were very successful with our product. We have some nuanced stuff that we do with the payment escrows and advanced draws for flippers. Keep money in their pocket. We don't look at the bank statements per se, and it just allows them to kind of keep the money flowing and moving and scaling, because that's really what it's about. Doing one deal, doing the next deal, and we want them to be successful because you're only as good as your last deal anyway.
Sure.
So the better we can put money in their pocket, allow their deal to be moving forward, is what we want them to do. So we created a nice product. We went into ground up. We went into a bridge for 24 months.
Sure.
Because some people were renovating for a for a short-term rental or something like that, so they needed longer than 12 months. So
Sure.
Again, our products always evolve around the customer, and we're always doing things that allow them to get more capital, like the DSCR second we talked about in the last one. People with low interest rates on DSCR loans. Hey, let's take some equity out so you can do your next deal.
Right.
So we came out with the close in a second. So we look at the market, we tailor the products, and then we said, hey, let's send this out to other brokers and other lenders and let them use our products. And that's how we came up with the broker program, the table funding, wholesale broker, all the things.
Yeah, that's great. So, you have been in the market for a very long time. I know you have a portfolio yourself, and you work with a lot of real estate investors. Where do you think the marketplace is today? I've heard a lot of just rhetoric and thoughts on the market. Where do you think we are today? What's the market look like? What's Templeview kind of view as the marketplace? Is it going up, going down? Is it just kind of stabilized? What's your thoughts?
Well, I think some of the people that got into the business, and there was some, there was a law, like people were waiting, not really doing a lot of flips. They were They were trying other things out, and some of those have left the market. So you do have the staple number of lenders that are there for the long term. They always will be, and I think they capitalized. And then it did open up the door for other people that might want to get their start on the broker side. So if we see a craze on a lot more brokers kind of entering the market, and that could be, you know, people that were flipping houses that maybe said, man, you know, I understand this works now. I've been doing a few flips, so. You know, why not just go out to my network and try to see what's going on? They partner with Think Realty and some other, you know, great networks that allow them to do that. So, you know, that's where I've seen a very big uptick. I think, you know, 2 months ago rates were high. Now they're lower. You know, so it does that. We've seen an uptick in fix and flip business for sure, and we do see, and even for our own speculative, you know, purchasing of defaulted notes. REO business is coming back a little bit. There's a lot of stuff in default. There is things that we're seeing in purchasing to create more product for our customers, and so we do that as more of like for our, you know, top end guys. But we'll have some buying pools for them, some things that they can purchase from us, and what we want to do is just, you know, like I said, create more opportunities for our customers, our borrowers, our partners.
Sure. Yeah, that's awesome. For Templeview, I know that we've used you in multiple fashions, but one of the things that we've been talking a lot about lately is a lot of this group of real estate investors that have moved into potentially brokering loans, especially in markets where they're maybe not like in Arizona where it's very highly regulated and you have to have licensing and stuff like that, but these markets that it doesn't take as much to jump through these hoops and you can actually broker loans. And it seems like Templeview has really gone very specifically towards supporting those brokers. So for the real estate investor that's out there and they're looking for the additional capital, they're thinking about, well, why could I just broker these loans for all of my friends and all these people? You know, if you don't mind, just talk through what Templeview does as a relationship with the brokers. Absolutely.
So Arizona, you're right. You need a brick and mortar. You need a license. We do have partners that allow for origination outside of the state of Arizona. It does go through them. They kind of act as a referral partner. You know, most of all the loans that we write in this space are non-TRID. So you're not governed by any kind of RESPA laws, and so you do have the ability to get paid as a referral partner. So you originate a deal, hey, this guy wants a loan, Mark, can you do it? Absolutely, we do it on the retail channel, and then they can get a referral paid on the HUD, off the HUD. You know, so those are the ways that you kind of just do loans outside of a state that you can actually, there's 16 states that you don't need a license for anyway. A lot of the brokers are getting into business with no licenses. They focus on those states. And then outside, if they get a loan in California, Arizona, Utah, all these other states, you know, they can pass through to us. We can help them, you know, originate or just, like I said, pay as a referral. Goes same thing with real estate agents. So real estate agents don't know this, but we definitely do some trainings. We do some like value add, you know, to some big broker offers, you know, to their potential investors. And we do that because we want to build that relationship for the real estate agent that ultimately is going to be showing these people REOs and rental properties, because ultimately we want the loans anyway. And that agent can also be set up as a referral partner. So any way that business can be done, especially in our space, they can get paid for it.
Yeah, I love that. You know, the way that I think about it, and I'm a big advocate of people brokering loans, is because the big capital that's out there just needs more access to deals. Like, it's not like there's limited capital and there's overwhelming amounts of deals. It's actually the opposite way around. You know, it's like when you look at it, there's $400+ billion that's earmarked for private lending that flows through people like you, and it's like, and the more deal flow that there is, then the more that capital can make it all the way down to Main Street, get these properties oftentimes rehabilitated and back into the market for use. And so I'm a huge fan of it. But what I like about becoming a private money broker is this concept of just adding to your top line revenue. You know, it's like you can additionally, you know, like I always say, like, you could actually, let's say every deal you pass on, if you were still the capital partner, because you're still close to that deal, if you said, hey, you know what, I can't do that one, but I can provide money for that for that deal, and you could just pick up, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4 deals a month. It's like, it's just like flipping another house. You know, like it really adds to that top line revenue if you just have access to the capital and it just becomes a part of what you do.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You feel that that is a good way of looking at it?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's so many different ways to make money in the space.
Yeah.
And there's three parts to every flip. Your lender, your valuation, real estate agent, and then your contractor. So, and of course the lender, quote unquote, money.
Right.
And those three pieces are really the secret sauce to be successful. If you have, if you can add value in one of those places, you can partner, you can get involved. Even the people that have never done a flip, I'm very active in trying to help them, because I know, like, I have these guys. I met one of my meetups that I host down in Maryland, and they came out. They had one deal. We knew it was going to be a struggle in the beginning of it, but these guys are so successful right now. They're, pretty proud of them. They're on their, with me, probably their 15th deal, and they're looking at a $20 million project right now. I mean, that's from nothing to, I'm quitting my day job.
Yeah.
Moving on. So
that's awesome. Very good. If you don't mind, talk about some of the products that you do have that are maybe new, or that second DSCR product. If you don't mind, just go through a couple of those products, because I think you guys are innovative in this space, and you guys lead the way in a lot of areas. Are there any other products like that? And if you don't mind, also explain that product.
No problem. I mean, I think our biggest, bang for our buck right now is our ground up construction. It's going 90 LTC. We are actually getting cash out on land at 75% when it's ready for vertical.
Wow.
And so most of the builders and people we partner with, they're developing land. Not a lot of people have land development.
Right.
So
Right.
when it's ready for vertical, it's usually their equity that they're putting into this land, getting it ready. So, let's say it's worth now 80, 90, 100 grand. You're not putting any money into that deal. In fact, you can even get money back out at closing.
Right.
We do have a payment escrow system. So, for 24 months and not making a payment, and most of our partners are getting done in 12, 14 months, having time to sell. If it's a luxury product, they want a little bit of a cushion. And if they're going to turn it into a rental, if they're building to rent, then they're just doing a quick refinance into the DSCR product. Sure. That's a real nice product. And I think one thing that we do different is we don't start at 12 months. Mm-hmm. A lot of people will do a 12-month loan. Oh, here's an extension fee. Here's the extension fee. Or 12-month loan and the rate's this. And if you want to go longer, it's a little bit higher. But we don't cost any more for 24, 18, 12, right?
Yeah.
It's really, again, centered around how that person is going to be successful and what do they need to finish. Someone might say, I might need 24, and we think you can be done in 12.
Right.
We'll still give you the 24.
Sure.
Not a problem. And again, to the so let's just say you have one of the other products, the DSCR second that came out. We have so many people that have refinanced. They got their 4% interest rates. They're happy, but now they're sitting on 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 of equity.
Right.
So we said, okay, well, we'll give you a closed-end second. We'll treat it as a DSCR all the way to 85%. We'll let them get all the way to 85% closed-end second. The DSCR factor is about 1.1. It's not 1, but it's 1.1. And you get 30,000 all the way up to $500,000 straight cash, closed-end second.
Yeah.
So put money in your pocket, buy a couple more.
That's a great option. I mean, if I was in a situation to take advantage of that, I mean, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I mean, we have people right now too that are taking advantage of bridge, because there is some uncertainty in the market. Mm-hmm. They don't, and this goes for the bigger loans where, what's going on with the short-term rental laws. There's shaky areas that we're very, very secure to have new municipalities coming down. They're saying, look, 31 days. This happened in my own market. Mm-hmm. And it's just funny because, is it really going to stand up when everyone says they actually purchased these vacation homes based on the preference they're going to be able to get some rental income, and now they're all faced with they can't do it.
Right.
So
pretty much the city of Dallas did that. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, and I just know in my states and where I have my Airbnbs at, I see the backslap. People are mad.
Sure.
They did put the pickets up on the St. Patty's Day parade.
Oh, yeah.
It was wow. There's a lot of pushback. So, do I want to put that on a 5-year, prepay DSCR, stabilized loan, or do I want to see? Do I have to sell this house? So bridge is coming back a little bit more than we've seen. We do a 24-month bridge. We can actually go to 80% and escrow payments for 2 years.
Yeah.
So let them figure it out, and then maybe they want to refinance after 12 months. Oh yes, this law's going away. I can do my stabilized long-term debt. So
that's awesome. That's very good. I think maybe last kind of line of questioning is just where do you see, as an organization, I'm sure Templeview is talking a lot about whether or not the interest rates are going to go up, going to go down, where the marketplace is going. Just as a whole, like how does Templeview view the next 1, 2, 3 years? And are there contingencies, like if if interest rates do go down or they do go up or anything like that?
Well, I mean, listen, I think interest rates do have a little bit to play with your future value and where you're going to see an exit.
Sure.
As long as you're, because we're still underwriting the deal on future on present value, not future.
Right.
And we haven't seen, we're still going 75% of the after repair value. A lot of that is to clip their payments, to make sure they're secure there. But that's where I think that gives them the flexibility to understand that, hey, rates up or down, you're still going to be in a pretty stable market. I mean, I don't think, but we don't got crystal balls.
Sure.
There's not going to be another crash like we saw
Sure.
in 06, 07, 08. Because the way these loans have been originated is based off finances and not based off of state of income and fake numbers. This is all real numbers and
Sure.
Going up, down. Remember, we're lending at 75% of after repair value on purpose.
Right.
I mean, that's still 25. You have to go down over 25% of your value to get hurt. So,
which is a very, very large drop.
Yeah. That's huge.
We very rarely saw 25% in 08, 09 in any market. There were specific markets that you did see stuff like that, but nationwide we weren't seeing drops like that. Yeah, that's a great point. Very good. How can people get in touch with you, in touch with Templeview?
Well, my name is Mark Burch again. I'm with Templeview. Email is mburch@templeviewcap.com. Direct is 240-351-5434. And again, for anybody looking to possibly get involved in just brokering, they can contact me. Anybody looking to do a retail loan, they can contact me. We didn't talk too much about the table funding side, but that's probably one of the other things that, I would say on a real business, white label table funding, having access to, whatever we underwrite financially, so if they need 20, 30, 40 million dollars of exposure, we can get that for them. So there's another opportunity that we can talk in the next podcast, really narrowing down on some of those things too.
Yeah, very good. And they can also reach directly out to you and you can talk directly to them about it.
Yeah,
very good. Highly recommended if you're considering private money brokering as a real estate investor. Mark would be a good place to start, as well as if you just want a good lender partner. I highly recommend Templeview. I've used them. You guys did a deal for me down in Cape Coral, and they've just been a great deal partner. And so highly recommend them. And Mark's always been there, great supporter of Think Realty and AAPL and all that we do. So appreciate you, appreciate Templeview, appreciate what you guys do for the marketplace.
Absolutely. Thank you guys.
Thanks for being on the show.
All right.
Very good. Thank you to our podcast sponsor one more time, which is Real Property Management. We're working with the right property management company to put more money in your pocket, not less. Real Property Management provides a higher standard of property management to make sure you're maximizing the return on your investments. Experience the real difference with Real Property Management. You can visit them at realpropertymgt.com. That's realpropertymgt.com. And make sure you have August 13th on your calendar. That's the Think Realty Virtual Summit. This is our second annual Think Realty Virtual Summit, and you're going to want to sign up and get your tickets as soon as possible. We've got great insight and speakers starting to line up even now for that. And we'll be talking about a lot of asset classes, single family, multifamily, and really giving you a good insight on where the marketplace is going. We'll have people that will be giving economic insights and best practices for investing for 2025. In August, you'll already be halfway through the year, and we should see a lot of the changes that are going on, whether it's through taxation or tariffs, really start to take place and solidify, and you'll need to know how to react to those, and we'll be talking specifically about that in August. So make sure you grab your tickets now, thinkrealty.com/virtual. And if you haven't received our magazine this month, make sure you stop by the local Barnes & Noble and pick it up, or go to thinkrealty.com and sign up to have it delivered to your doorstep just like I do, so that you can enjoy all the great content inside the Think Realty magazine. Thanks so much for being a part of the podcast today. Have a great day.